so we are going into round one and you're going to need your elevated surface. I have a chair, but you can use a counter, a bed, and you're going to come down on those elbows. Make sure the elbows are directly under the shoulders. You're in a good plank position, and you can even widen your feet just a smidge if it helps. But your goal here is to lower your chest by bringing those shoulder blades together near your spine. And you're just melting down. And then as you press away from the chair, thinking about bringing those shoulder blades back around towards those armpits, pushing through the armpits, not rounding the back. Think inhale as you lower and just relax into it. Exhale as you push away, tightening the core, thinking about pushing and driving from the armpits. Okay? Not a huge range of motion, not a major exercise, just trying to get some strength, release, and mobility in those shoulders. Okay, now I'm going to need you to grab your foam roller. You're going to place your head near one end, and then the arm over the foam roller is going to be stationary and still. Nice big full audible inhale into that child's pose. Exhale, lifting thumb, like fist with thumb up towards the ceiling, about 45 degrees from the body, so kind of a Y shape. With your exhale, you're thinking about bringing, in this case, my right shoulder to my left hip pocket. Really thinking about those muscles in and around your bra line, okay? Really trying to tap into those lower traps, getting those to help you lift that arm, staying engaged and not letting your body or other arm help with the movement. Okay, so switching over to the other side now. Head is on the end of the foam roller. Right arm is supported by the foam roller. Big, full, audible inhale, relaxing into that pelvic floor, opening the back. Exhale, tighten the core, lift that pelvic floor, raise that arm towards the ceiling. Again, aiming for that bra line, thinking about shoulder blade to opposite back pocket, keeping tension out of the neck. Okay, so grab a ball or something to squeeze and your dumbbells. You're going to join me on your back with that object between your knees. So I have a ball, but a rolled up bath towel works, a folded pillow works. And you are going to create an extra good core connection by squeezing the ball throughout the movement. Exhale, squeeze the ball, tighten the pelvic floor, engage the core. Inhale as you lower the dumbbells, thinking about shoulder blades pinching towards your spine. Exhale, tighten everything up as you lift, leading with those pinkies, pretending like you are squashing a piece of paper between your dumbbells at the top so you can really get that good chest engagement. Bend in your elbows should stay the same throughout the movement. Okay, so don't let that bend change, increase, decrease, or anything as you go through, okay? Now, you're gonna grab a band, preferably with handles. Okay, placing one handle, so on my left foot in this case to start, and then the right hand is going to go into the handle and wrap. The less you can squeeze, the better. So if you wrap it around and can kind of just rest, it's going to be really good. Okay. Now, if you think about reaching for the wall by your foot with your foot, so really extend and straighten that leg and create some reach with the leg. Make sure there's enough tension in your band. Palm faces your body. And what you're really thinking about is those big, giant lat muscles and shoulder blades doing the work. Slow and controlled in both directions. So if you have enough tension in that band, it very easily could just whip you back to that starting position. Control it. Don't let it do that, okay? You're exhaling as you lower, inhale as you lift. When you switch sides, like I did, I tried really hard to grab the band in the exact same spot so that I could have equal tension on both sides. Okay. Again, reaching with my right leg, keeping that reach the entire time, palm faces my body. Exhale, lower that arm, thinking about making the shoulder blade meet the opposite back pocket. To help make this movement happen, core is super engaged. So I'm using my right hand to make sure I feel the core engagement. Again, controlling the tension on the way back so the band just doesn't whip me right back up. Okay, from here, we are now going to come into a hands and knees position with one dumbbell. You're gonna have shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. You can let that lower belly hang, then round the back and kind of find that neutral. And then I want you to push away from the floor with the non-moving arm. Think about that push through the armpits again. Bringing that upper arm glued to your rib cage. It should not move at all as you extend and straighten the forearm. Really thinking about squeezing the back of the arm, your bat wings, if you will. Getting that tricep nice and tight and tense as you fully extend. Switching sides, again, finding that core engagement and then pushing away from the floor through the armpit. Full extension as you reach back with that arm. Really squeezing the tricep back. Then from here, we're gonna stand up with both dumbbells. You're gonna come into a hinge, so feet are about hip width apart. Hips push back, knees over feet, back is nice and flat, core is engaged. Bend in those elbows as you bring those shoulder blades to pinch your spine. If I were to look at you from the top of the movement, you would look like a W with the dumbbells, your elbows, and your head. That's why we call this a W fly, okay? So you do want to have a bend in the elbow and you're really thinking about using those shoulder blades to pull the dumbbells up, not lifting your body to make it happen, okay? And then last but not least, we've got elevated shoulder taps. So you're in a plank position with your shoulders over your hands, really working to keep the hips from rotating. Open your legs a little bit if necessary. Working on slowly bringing those feet closer and closer together as you improve. Okay, take a break, grab some water. Awesome job. I'll see you in round 2. If you don't need the full 2-minute rest, fast forward. All right, we are in round 2. Grab that chair again. We're starting with those scap push-ups. We're going right into it. You had your break, and so now we're back into it. So you're in that plank position, just slow, lower, melting towards the floor, letting those shoulder blades glide back and forth over your rib cage. So you're protracting as you push away from the chair, and you're retracting as you lower that chest towards the floor. So really, really focusing on letting the shoulder blades guide this movement. Don't try and force it. Careful not to round your back as you push away from your elevated surface. You want to exhale with that push. Again, core stays nice and tight the whole time. So you notice I'm not ever letting my belly sag or pushing my butt into the air. Okay. Then we've got our child's pose Y. So you're coming down with that foam roller. You could use like a rolled bath towel for this. It just helps a little bit to have a slightly more stiff surface to rest your head and hand on. Okay, and then careful that you're not pushing into the floor with that non-moving arm. That can be an indication of a cheat, so just keep an eye on that. Remember, you're inhaling when the arm is down, exhaling to help lift the arm. This is a core movement too, because as you lift that arm, you want to make sure that core is holding you nice and stable and you're not rocking and rolling or arching the back. I like this version of the Ys instead of laying flat on your belly because it helps improve the motion of the Y before we start adding too much core. I find sometimes if you're not ready for one or the other, and usually the one people aren't ready for is the actual Y lift. So by improving that, we can then help the core later. And it's just a good progression. Still using that breath too can help kind of warm you up, get the core firing, open the rib cage, and just get those shoulders moving and gliding a lot better. Okay, grab that ball or something to squeeze and your dumbbells. And we're going into that chest fly with your squeeze. If you found it really difficult to squeeze as you exhale and bring the dumbbells up, and then release as you lower with that inhale, just squeeze the entire time, okay? By adding the ball and having you squeeze it, you are actually creating tension in those inner thighs, and then your inner thighs connect into that pelvic floor to your core. So you should feel those lower abs and that deep core working just a little bit harder in this chest fly than if you were to ditch the ball completely. So that's why we add the ball here. It just really helps connect you to the core, and it's one less thing to think about because you're creating that tension automatically. Grabbing your handle band, placing it around 1 foot, holding it with your opposite hand. Remember, you're reaching with that leg and foot, keeping that foot bent and toes towards the ceiling. Wrapping the band if you can help it in order to do less squeezing. I find with any exercise, so this works with this one or anything that you're using the handle band, the less you can grip the handle. In other words, the more you can like wrap it around your hand and just kind of move it instead of really gripping in order to hold on, you eliminate a lot of cheaters. Okay, so oftentimes when you have to squeeze the handle to hold on to it, it brings in a lot of muscles that are unhelpful for the exercise. Okay, again, exhale as you lower, thinking about the big lat muscles and your shoulder blades. Shoulder blade leads, lats follow. Your lats are those big triangular muscles that start at your shoulder blade and go down into your hip. So the big fat base of the triangle would be the base of your shoulder blade. And then the point of the triangle would be down into your hip bone. First, bringing that shoulder blade down and then creating that tension and trying to squish that triangle from the bottom up. Although the bottom of the triangle, remember, is at your shoulders. So kind of top down in your body, but visually. Trying to make it shorter and fatter and really squeezing those lats. Core is engaged. Okay, this is really good for that cross-body connection that's so important. So much of our body is X-shaped. So much of our body really does try and connect from right to left, back to front. We're going with those tabletop triceps. Engage the core, press away from the floor through your armpit, creating tension in the armpit and the serratus, really extending in your arms, squeezing those triceps. Exhale, extend. Or, okay, keeping that core tension the whole time. Now you can start to progress this if this feels too easy or you're not tapping into the core as much as you may want to by coming up to an elevated surface. Okay, and then slowly working towards a full plank. Maybe you try a full plank. But if you do not have the core strength yet, then this is where you need to stay because that tabletop position will challenge the core, but it's a little bit easier. Okay, W flies coming into that hinge first, and then opening by bringing those shoulder blades together. Again, as I lift my arms, my whole body does not lift. So I am staying 100% in that hinge, not fighting or cheating it. Exhale as you lift, tightening that core. So you can think about kind of starting that exhale before you start to lift. And then last but not least, we got those shoulder taps. Okay, again, opposite shoulder to opposite hand, or opposite hand to opposite shoulder. Nice, good plank so your butt is not way up in the sky. It is not rotating as you lift an arm. Slowly, as you improve this exercise, bringing those feet closer and closer together, maintaining that straightness through your hips. Okay, you guys are kicking butt. We got one more round. I'll see you there. If you don't need the full 2-minute rest, fast forward. All right, round 3. How are the shoulders feeling? We're going to go into those scap push-ups. So find your elevated surface, come down to your elbows, good plank position, just letting that chest melt. Okay, so this is a really good way to warm up and release the shoulder blades, get them moving and grooving, creating some of that lubrication for future exercises. Kind of getting those shoulder blades in position, kind of that body awareness of our shoulder blades. Really good stuff. Plus you get the bonus of being in a plank. Our core needs to work when our limbs move, so this is really good for that as well. We need to be able to both stabilize while our limbs move and then also work dynamically while our limbs move. That's a good stabilization while those shoulder blades are gliding. Okay, you don't need to lock your shoulder blades in to help with your core. All right, coming down into that child's pose with your head and one arm on the foam roller. We got those Y lifts. So remember, fist is, your hand is in a fist with the thumb up. Exhale, lift towards the ceiling. That hand should be coming at a 45-degree angle away from your body. Exhale, bring that shoulder blade to the opposite back pocket, targeting those muscles around your bra line. Inhale to expand. Okay, this is also a really great way to warm up for shoulders and core. You're getting the big benefits of a child's pose breath, but then we're adding a little bit of movement in the shoulders and really just trying to target the right things, identify where we're supposed to be feeling this. Pairing it with breath is so key. The more things you can pair with the breath, the more you can work on the breath, the more you can work on back body expansion, the better you will feel, the better you will move. So really good exercise and warm up for a good bang for your buck. Okay, so from here, you are going to those chest flies with something to squeeze. You can also squeeze the foam roller, a yoga block. Okay, you just don't want anything like too huge, but you definitely want to be able to create tension on it. So that's where if you're using a towel, a bath towel versus a washcloth is going to be a lot better. Ideally, those knees are staying hip width apart. Remember, shoulder blades glide towards each other as you lower down, and they pull away from each other and towards your armpits as they rise up. Inhale as you lower, exhale, squeeze as you tighten. Leading with those pinkies, squishing and squeezing that piece of paper, really creating tension in the chest. Exhale, squeeze. All right, from here, we've got the band. We're gonna go with our single arm, single leg pullovers. One handle around your foot. Make sure it's low enough to stay secure. And then that's also where the reaching helps. Now, the reaching is important for the exercise, but by really pushing and extending that leg and keeping your foot bent with your toes towards the ceiling, you can help hold that band in place, especially if you have shoes on. Now, as you're tired, as you're going through this exercise, when you bring your arm overhead and closer to the floor, make sure your ribs do not come with it. Core might start to fatigue, shoulder might be fatiguing, so some of those cheats might start to kick in. We do not want the ribs to open towards the ceiling to help you out. So place that hand, you can think about placing the non-moving hand, thumb on rib cage, finger on hip bone. Make sure that that space between your thumb and finger don't move. Make sure you can feel that core tense underneath. Again, trying to keep the band in both hands equal as best you can. Really working and reaching full extension in that leg as you pull that arm up and over behind you. Again, use that breath, big full inhale as you bring that arm back up. Breathe into that shoulder, relax the shoulder. Exhale, tighten the core, cinch up that corset as you lower the arm and think about tightening that shoulder blade. Again, it's really important that as our core tightens and stabilizes us, we don't lock down our shoulder blades down and away from our ears, if you will, while we do it. Okay? They should be able to move while your core is tight. Got that tabletop tricep extension. Love a good burn in the back of my arms. Really helps to get that core involved. Remember, you're pushing away from the floor. Maintain that push. Check in with yourself from reps 8. Are you still pushing or have you sunk into that opposite shoulder? Is that core still firing? Or have you let your belly sag? Are you squeezing that tricep as you extend that lower arm? Especially in this third round, those are some things that we want to look out for, think about, pay attention to. Because you're fatigued now, and this is where it's going to be the most important round to have that form on point. Good. From there, we've got 2 exercises left. We've got the bent over W rows and our shoulder taps, and you're out of here. Okay, hinging at the hips, lifting up, pinching those shoulder blades together. Now, if it's really hard or you feel this in your lower back, then you can go to your elevated surface and kind of come into a lunge with one hand on the step, and then the opposite hand will do the Y lifts by themselves. So if you're gonna lift with your right arm, your left knee and your left hand would be on or close to your elevated surface. And then we're going with those shoulder taps. 20 and you are out of here. 10 each. Exhale with each one. Really help that core fire. So maybe in this third round, your feet are a little wider. That is totally okay. Work on it next time. Come closer together in your next go round, okay? Awesome job. I'm proud of you. You did it. I hope the shoulders feel good and loose. And let me know if you have any questions.